What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the 4Runner again. We're going to go ahead and do the torque converter on this, and I do have it on the lift. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to drain the fluid first. I'll put a link up to that first video right there. We did the filter and fluid flush on that, and we're going to go ahead and drain this again, just to make sure we don't have any spillage whenever we pull everything out. But the drain plug's right here, inspection plugs right there, and the fill plug is on the tail shaft. But we're going to be changing the rear main seal, the rear transmission seal, front pump seal, and torque converter on this. So let me go ahead and start draining this, and then we'll start pulling all the electrical and shifter cables and stuff like that out. All right, so get the fluid draining. I don't know if y'all can see it. Falling right here, it's about through. Put the plug back in for right now. And I went ahead and sprayed the exhaust all down with some Croil. That's right here. I'm gonna put a little bit right here on this boot, or the rubber isolator, just so I can get it out a little bit easier. Alright, but we got all that soaking down, so while we get ready to take everything else off, we can let that sit. So let me turn y'all around. Taking the shifter cable out first. Just a 12mm nut, backup cable that attaches to the lever on the transmission. And then there's a bracket that holds it in. I need to get the nut back on there. On that bracket, it's just a little slide clip, like a little horseshoe clip. Let me get a screwdriver and we'll take that out and show you what it looks like. Ooh, she is in there. That's a good catch. That's your horseshoe clip right there. Stick it to the side, back and down. Now we're going to get a 10 and go ahead and just take the bracket off that holds the wiring connectors. Should have a speed sensor, looks like right here. A lot of this looks like it's got crust in it. May have to get a pick to get behind it. There it goes. And you got one connector up here. Kind of like a computer connector. Now, let me show it to you a little closer. This one right here is kind of like a computer connector. It's got like a little tab you push back and pull down. It's like a little swipe connector. There's like a little hold tab. I know it's dark right there. And whenever I get it out, I'll show you what it looks like or how we get those out. But I'm gonna get that now if I can. On the opposite side, there are 3 more connectors. Looks like another speed sensor. Another O2 sensor connector. And then your range sensors over here as well. Give me 1 second and I will show y'all all the sensors over here. I'm just trying to get them off real quick. Alright, so here's the passenger side. Your range sensors right there. You got a speed sensor right there, and then here's your other O2. And then also on the side you have your transmission cooler lines right here, and these look like they're probably about 17 or 18. Then you got the bracket holding it on right here as well. Looks like a 12 millimeter holds it to the bell housing up in there. Right up there. I don't know how well y'all can see that. If I can get y'all a different vantage point. Right there is that O2 sensor. Not O2, but that line holder. I don't know if it's O2 sensor. Alright, so we got all the wires off, and next thing we need to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the drive shaft out of this. The rear is just a slip yoke, and then on the diff you just have these bolts and nuts right there. And these right here are 14s. Be careful when you're taking these off because there are washers on the bolt portion of it, and I just threw the transmission in neutral just so I could spin the wheels and rotate the drive shaft. Alright, I'm going to use a hammer to tap on this. There we go. Okay, now we got the drive shaft out. You can see up inside of here, we're going to be changing this seal too, because while we got it out, we may as well, we're going to do the front pump seal as well. But the next step that we're going to do is actually, I'm going to take the cooler lines off, and then once we do that, I'm probably going to lower the vehicle back down a little bit, disconnect the battery, and then I'll take the starter off so we can get the torque converter bolts out. Alright, rather than taking the starter off, I went ahead and started taking the exhaust off. You got 2 bolts right here on each manifold. Then you got 2 back here. We did have 1 brake right there, but I may have enough threads to actually get onto it. I don't know yet. Have to see. If not, I'll have to figure out something about getting that out and getting her fixed. You see, work off right there. But we have them all out now. They're all 14s. All we have to do is just get this right here out, and instead of trying to pull this, well, you know what, that actually might pull out pretty easy. Now, let's see if we can get this out real quick. Now it's time for the starter. Starter bolts are right there, and I believe right here is that one and the next one up. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those 2 loose and see if we can just push the starter back and get it out of there so we can get to the torque converter bolts, because you have to go in through the starter hole to get the torque converter bolts. Don't know what size those are, but we'll find out. Alright, we got the starter out. There's a connector right here, 12 millimeter right there. Then there's a 10 millimeter right here that holds the wiring harness on. And then I did take these 2 10 millimeters on the heat shield out just because they were hitting a little bit, and you have to pull it out from the face of it down through here, and now we have access to the torque converter bolts. Now you're going to gain access to the torque converter bolts. Oh, also there was a ground wire right here as well, but you're going to gain access to the torque converter bolts through here, and there should be like a little piece that comes out. If I can get it to come out so you can gain access. Come on, get out of there. Come on. Just doesn't want to come out. So here's that little piece right here. It's a little plastic piece. It lets you get a little bit more clearance on the torque converter bolts. That is one of your torque converter bolts. These are specific to the torque converter, so don't lose those. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just take the rest of them out. I'll let you know how many they are after I take them out, because it'd just be boring watching me take them out, rotate the engine, take it out, rotate the engine. You can rotate the engine by the front of the crank, or you can rotate it by using a screwdriver and just kind of moving it with the flywheel. So use your own discretion how you want to do it. Either one is fine. All right, so we got all the torque converter bolts out. There's 6 of them, and they are 14 millimeters. The only thing that I got left to do is take the bell housing bolts out and then take the cross member out, but I'm not going to take the cross member out until I get the transmission jack underneath there. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and break the rest of these bell housing bolts out. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Took 6 out. 2 of those were starter bolts, but they still go through. But I took 6 of them out. They're going to be 14s and 17s. We got one right here, and there's a few up on top. Looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 left. So I'll count them once I get them all out. Where we're at now is I went ahead and took the cross member, some of the cross member bolts out. That's one of them right there. We got this last one right here to take out. I just got to loosen that one up, and I still have the one on the passenger side in. It is loose, but I'm not going to take it out just in case it drops down. But those are 14 millimeters. Now that we got all the cross member bolts out, we're going to probably leave these up in here on there. I don't want to take a chance of breaking them off, because I have had these break off in these mounts before, and the only real way to fix that is either drill them out or get a new mount. And in my opinion, getting a new mount is a lot easier than drilling them out. So we're going to try to leave that on here. But we do have a jack underneath there, and I'm going to put a pry bar in here and in there and try to pull it out with that. Alright, I went ahead and took the exhaust the rest of the way out just because it was going to make it easier, because the brackets that hold the exhaust manifold to the transmission was hitting, and it wouldn't let it come down far enough. I think it was just hung up on the dial pins. There we go. Tilt it this way a little bit. Clear now. Oh yeah. And the transmission is out. Also on the top there is a vent tube. There's 2 10 millimeters holding that on. So there's a vent tube right here, and it goes in right there. There's a 10 here and there that holds it on. But I'm gonna get all these wires out of the way, and then we're gonna pull it back some more, and probably gonna end the video right here. I'll do part 2 on this probably on the next video, or actually I'm probably gonna do 3 videos on this one, just because I'm going to show y'all how to do the rear main seal on this as well, and do the front and rear seal and torque converter on the last video. But if I have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And y'all remember, torque this tight, and y'all have a great day.